Recognizing our Minister of Forests.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to be able to rise in the House, beat the other former school trustee in getting up quicker than him to be able to speak to this legislation. Hopefully he is just as excited as I am to be able to talk about it. Bill 19, the School Amendment Act. I just want to begin by firstly thanking my colleague, the Minister of Education and Childcare. We first met when we were school trustees way back in the day, and I'm sure she spoke about it during her opportunity to open up debate about how much we as school trustees heard on the ground the importance of childcare. I come from the Sault School District, where I was the board chair for a number of years, fastest growing school district per capita in the entire province, where we've actually seen a reduction of childcare because of the fact that we've had to take over old childcare spaces and take them back and create classrooms because of the growth that we've been facing. It was quite surprising when I saw the piece of legislation because it's small. It's only got a couple of clauses in it. But boy, is it a powerful piece of legislation. When I was with the Sault School District, we faced enormous challenges with being able to unlock childcare on school sites. I remember the conversations, and I should add that as we face challenges, there's so many other districts that were leading the way. I think of Nanaimo as an example from my time as a trustee, seeing the work that they did. Port Alberni, just north of us on the island as well, did some incredible work as well. Prince George, I know, is a leader as well. And so for us, it was quite inspiring to be able to see the work that many of these school districts were doing, but facing so many hurdles with outdated legislation. What I'm excited to see now is what work my school district, the Sault School District, School District 62, is going to be doing with those hurdles lifted and with the ability to be able to look at expanding childcare. I often said during the first term as an MLA, for me that was just the year after the by-election, that the number one issue I heard on the doorstep during the by-election and subsequently when I continued knocking on doors when I became an MLA was childcare. I represent a community with a lot of young families. Similarly, in terms of our demographics, we're definitely the youngest in the Capital Regional District. I would argue probably one of the youngest demographics in the entire province, a lot of young families. And I would often go and visit and knock on doors and come across a woman who was pregnant, congratulate her, and she would often say the first thing she did besides celebrating her pregnancy was signing her child up, future child up for childcare. And I think it was definitely an eye-opener for me in terms of the need that's out there in my community, and I'm sure it continues to be the case in so many other parts of the province, and also provides me the opportunity to be able to now recognize the role the government has to be able to create this system that allows us to be able to have more childcare in every corner of the province. The member of the opposition that spoke prior to the leader of the Green Party talked about opening doors, talked about bringing people together. I'm really proud of the work that we've done since we formed government in creating this brand new social program. There were many that said it could never be done. There was many who pointed to the costs associated with the program in Quebec and said it's not something that we should do here in British Columbia. There's many that have stood in the way of being able to bring more childcare in place, and I'm proud to be a member of this government that has led the way in the entire country, and not only has led the way in terms of making sure that provincial investments are being made in childcare, but because of the steps that we've taken as a government on this side of the aisle. We have seen investments in childcare not just in British Columbia, but all across the country. We got Trudeau to make the record investments that were required to be able to expand childcare because of the work that was started by my friends Katrina Chen, who was the first Minister of State for Childcare, and of course I want to give a special shout out to Carol James, who was the first BC NDP Prime Minister. She would have been a fantastic Prime Minister. Carol, if you're thinking about being Prime Minister, but that would be great. But an incredible Finance Minister as well, who led the way in making sure that during those first set of budgets that we introduced when we formed government, led the way towards the creation of childcare. Again, creating this social program takes years, it takes decades, as we're learning. And as you can appreciate, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure in your own community, patience wears thin for many people, and I can recognize their frustrations with not having easy and accessible childcare. But I'm still proud of the work we've done today. And when I'm out visiting communities like Happy Valley or South Point or West Hills in my community of Langford, even in the Highlands, and when I represented East Sault and Otter Point and Shirley, talking about the importance of childcare in relation to what it means for communities as well. But I think the uniqueness of this legislation for me is about the power that this has in recognizing that we already have assets where we can expand childcare, and that is our schools. There is huge potential for us to recognize that in relation to the work that we do as legislators. We are making record investments in school infrastructure. In my case, in the Sault School District, we just opened up a brand new elementary school that already has childcare, Sianu Seletka, a beautiful name gifted by the Sianu First Nations, 500-seat elementary school that has a neighborhood learning center that includes childcare. And how about the opportunity now for the Sault School District not only to offer an incredible childcare opportunity for infant and preschool age care, but to be able to expand that into before and after school care. I don't think that takes work away from others. I think that expands what I see in my inbox and what I see in my community as a major need in terms of the investments that need to be made. I would also add, from my perspective, as we're building more infrastructure, we're building a brand new high school in the Sault School District in the city of Langford, really important investment for my community. Here's a potential for us to be able to ensure that when we are looking to build this infrastructure, that we can ensure that we're looking at before and after school regionally as well. We have in North Langford some older schools where space is quite limited, but the high school that we're building is quite located centrally. And so is there an ability to be able to expand childcare before and after at the high school where space might be a little bit tight at Millstream and Lakewood as an example? Those are the things that I hope outside of the box will be talked about by the Sault School District, and I expect will be talked about by school districts across the province. Again, a minor change when you look at it that has a major impact. I also want to talk a bit about the work that the City of Langford has been doing on childcare. My community has often been described as a childcare desert. We don't have a lot of childcare spaces. I should add, we once did not have a lot of childcare spaces because of the work that my colleague has done as the Minister of Education and Childcare. Just in the last couple of years, we've seen an investment of $14 million in Langford alone to be able to build childcare. And I think there's huge potential in the work that we've done on preschool and infant care to be able to expand that into before and after on school sites as well. I want to give a particular shout out to the Mayor and Council in Langford. I remember their very first EBCM meeting where they met with the Minister and raised the concern. The Minister was very clear in terms of the steps that they could take and the role that local governments have in expanding childcare as well. And I have to give a particular shout out to my Mayor, Scott Goodmanson, and his council for stepping up, developing their own plan, and then going and fighting for money. And it was a joy for me to be able to work with them and to see the success. We had the Minister of Education and Childcare out not too long ago to be able to announce a pretty substantive investment. We're going to have co-located social housing and childcare in the same spot. But what an opportunity to be able to see this expansion of service in my community as well. I'll just conclude, Mr. Speaker, with a couple of additional thoughts going back to school sites as well. Our schools are community centers in so many ways. I think of, you have a very large electoral district. I used to have a relatively large electoral district. It's shrunk because the city of Langford has grown and prospered in height. And so I miss the community of Sault, I miss the community of Port Renfrew. Don't miss those drives, though. Who am I talking to? And I'm talking to a speaker who represents a very large area. But when I often am talking about the city of Langford, I often, and I'm not sure if this is the case for yourself or other members of the House, I often, take the riding that I have and organize it based off of schools. And it's easy to do because the school is the center of that community. And so, as an example, I live in the Millstream neighborhood in my mind because that's Millstream Elementary School, my alma mater, where I started elementary school off in the Sault School District. And the reason I mention that is schools, again, are the heart of communities. And if there is an ability to be able to ensure that before and after school care, in addition to so many other supports and services that are provided at schools, that, like Boys and Girls Clubs, breakfast programs, like these are all the steps that we're taking as a government to ensure that these services can be embedded into those communities. When I became a school trustee, I heard very loud and clear in my community, and I'm sure some of my colleagues may have faced this as well, looking at a former teacher, I guess not a former teacher, you may go back to teaching one day. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Well said, member. One of the things, and I'm not sure if this was a similar issue in Columbia River Revelstoke, but there was always a challenge associated with 8 to 4. Schools would be open from 8 to 4, and then boom, 4 o'clock they'd be shut and doors locked, and the hardworking custodians, CUPE employees would be doing their work to get ready for the next day. I made it a challenge for my board when I became chair of the Board of Education for the Sault School District. How can we expand those services? How can we make sure that our schools are open all day long, well into the evening, to be able to ensure that in the case of Royal Bay, that's got a beautiful track, that's got a beautiful high school, that can be opened up for the entire community so that it can open up childcare opportunities. And I think we need to look at that in the case of all of our communities. I know that there is a lot of work ahead, as the member across the way talked about, the member from West Vancouver, about the work that is going to be on the shoulders of school trustees and school districts. But I'm excited about the work that my colleague, the Minister of Education, is going to now get to do with this legislative change to be able to expand that childcare. I think we often talk about the challenges associated with expanding childcare in relation to personnel. That is absolutely an issue. We hear about it. In my community, I've been blown away by the innovation that's been happening in childcare. I have come across 3 examples just in the last year of people who've been successful in tech and innovation, and they have decided to go open up childcare centers. And I was really thrown aback by that. You're doing really well in tech and innovation. You don't have experience in childcare. Why are you going into that space? And the reason they're going into that space is because they face that challenge. They couldn't find childcare, and so they now see it as a way to be able to give back to their community, to be able to take some of the earnings that they've made in their success and be able to invest in that community. And I've got countless examples just in the city of Langford alone, and I'm sure many of my other colleagues have examples as well of people who are stepping up. Childcare workers do incredible work in our communities. They should be commended, they should be respected, and they should be acknowledged. Not just on one day of the year, all year round. I want to thank the childcare workers in the city of Langford and Langford Highlands for the work that they do with our loved ones, with our little ones. It is difficult work, it is stressful work, but it is so important, the work that they do, not just in terms of just taking care of our children, but in making sure that they are ready for the next stages of their life. I think we often don't appreciate that work that they do in our communities. In particular, I think of so many newcomers that have come into the city of Langford, as well as other places that are coming in and becoming childcare workers. I had the opportunity to be the parliamentary secretary for international credentials, working with my colleague when she was the Minister of Advanced Education, and getting the opportunity to be able to do important work to address the credential recognition issue for childcare workers. Still so much more work that we have to do to be able to meet the demand that exists today. But I'm proud on this side of the House to be able to stand up and provide my support for Bill 19, a piece of legislation that, again, relatively small, couple of clauses, that is going to have a significant impact on the people of Langford Highlands and all British Columbians. Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Member.